This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. How you doing, my man? You feeling good on a Friday?
I'm good, man. Can't complain too much. Just I'm hanging with baby girl today, so I'm trying to keep her busy while I'm doing my work stuff, which is a challenge of my own. But other than that, it's all good.
Yeah, it always is a challenge, but it's a fun challenge, actually.
It is. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Damn right. Are you off this weekend?
Yes. There's another NFL Network game in Germany. The Colts are playing the Patriots, so it's on our network, and so we're not traveling any reporters on Sunday other than that game. And so since I'm not in Germany, I will be at home. I'm gonna go to church and probably take the family to a festival. You know, there's a little Miramar Jerk Festival, or I think there's a seafood festival and down at Coconut Grove. So we'll choose one of those two and go hang out. So a rare Sunday off.
Have you hung out in the Grove yet?
I have more when I used to live in Miami. I used to live in Edgewater first 2.5 years here. And so I spent a little bit more time in the Gables and the Grove.
I love
down in that area. I know Frank Gore pretty well, so I hung out with him a decent amount out there. And so I haven't been out there probably in about a year or two. So I'll just kind of ask the girls, what are they feeling, seafood or jerk? And we'll choose one of the two.
Yeah, I love the Grove. Let me ask you, because I thought it was a silly ass story. There is no way. I don't care if he loses this week in Germany. There is no way you fire a Bill Belichick in the middle of a season, bro. Okay? You don't fire Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll. I get it. Everybody gets old. We all are going to get old. There's going to be a point where we're all going to lose our fastball. We're not going to be the same person. I understand that. Those kind of people, you let them live out the season. This story that, he could possibly be fired if they don't play well, I don't believe that 100%. If he's going to part ways with Bill, it'll be at the end of the season, and you'll do it in a professional manner. You don't treat him like Cam Cameron or some slapdick that you just picked up a year ago or two that really means nothing to your season. This is the second most important person in the history of that franchise. You don't do that to that person by casting them off in the middle of the season. I thought that was a ridiculous story.
So I would tend to agree. I don't have any insider knowledge on the Bill Belichick element, but I will say that I think he's garnered a lot more respect than to be kind of discarded like that. And knowing how Robert Kraft deals with it, even if everything's not perfect in their relationship, I don't imagine he'll do him like that either. And so, I think the talk about Belichick and whether this will be his last year, that's a fair conversation. Like the way it's been, especially since Brady's left, it requires the question of after the season, do they make a move, whether it's Belichick making his own move, whether it's a mutual decision or whether it's just a Patriots decision. But mid-season, that would absolutely shock me. I just think that a guy who's won you, 6 titles, garners a little bit different outing. You know, I can imagine, even if he loses the rest of the games of the year, still imagine you give him to the end.
In fact, it's more ammunition, and it's a stronger conversation for Kraft at the end of the year if you let the entire season play out, and then you have the entire season say, "Hey, Bill, man, things just have not gone well. We're going in the other direction." Which is what's been proven every year. You're getting worse and worse and worse. You're not getting any better. You know what I mean? So and because he's earned the right, you got to let him finish out the season and see. You know, you got a half a season left. Let him, either dig himself in a hole even deeper or let him try to justify, his position. You know what I mean? But
absolutely. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it just, to me, that story made no sense whatsoever because you're treating him like some guy you just picked up a year or two ago or 3, And bro, this isn't Josh McDaniels, bro.
Right. Now, I would be shocked if he didn't get at least a full year to see it through.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, what do you injury-wise for the Dolphins? What do we know about Rob Hunt? What do we know about Achan? What do we know about those guys? Does it look like they'll be pretty close to fully healthy against the Raiders?
I think the Raiders game will be the healthiest they've been all season. I think from what I understand, Devon Achane should be back. He should be activated off the injury reserve the week they come from the bye, and then they'll see him out in the practice field, see him work to confirm their belief that he'd be ready to be back in 4 weeks. And if everything looks good, then he'll play week 11 versus the Raiders. Robert Hunt, they were trending towards giving him a chance to practice this week, even with the bye off. And so I think that he's trending towards the same way. Hey, probably see him in practice Wednesday, Thursday, and you'll see how he progressed. But I expect him to be back in the starting lineup as long as there's no setbacks either. So you get your starting right guard, you get your playmaker, do it all running back, and that offensive line essentially as healthy as you're going to have it all season. Their left guard, like I mentioned, I think last week, is going to be a little bit of a makeshift job because you're not expecting Isaiah Wynn back this year. You'd be surprised if he does come back. And so you'll either see Lester Cotton or Rob Jones if he's healthy enough. We'll see about that. Probably Lester Cotton or Leon Eichenberg, depending on what they decide at that spot.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cotton to be the guy right now because of the Jones injury. And then you keep Eichenberg sharp at center just in case something happens with Connor and you're there. And then Liam can be the emergency for both, for Lester and for Liam. I mean for Connor. So I think that kind of works out that way, overall. And let me tell you something. I just thought about this when we were talking about, how healthy they are. Do you realize that in 4 years of covering this team, the 2 years with Flo and now the 2 years with McDaniel, or this is 1.5 years, this is the most complete and healthy they have ever been next week.
Interesting.
Because obviously they weren't complete the first year because they pared down that team. You know what I mean? And then, they had their share of injuries in year 2 also. And then year 3 was like, oh, my God, they had a ton of injuries. And then this year they started with a ton of injuries. But all of a sudden now you're getting as healthy as possible. This might be the most healthy and the most complete Dolphins team a Dolphin fan and a Dolphin beat reporter has seen in, I don't know how long.
Yeah, I know, and it's rightfully so, though. But like a lot of Dolphins fans point to some of their struggles, against those good teams to injuries, right? Every team has injuries, but when you're smart about injuries, like the Dolphins have been this season, I think it sets you up for a second half of the year where you can trend healthier. Like there was a lot of weeks, especially when they were about to play Philly, when they were about to play KC, where they may have held a guy out for an extra week. Connor Williams didn't play, that particular game, and fans were like, he could have pushed. Why didn't X play this game? Why didn't? The goal is, hey, we may lose those games, but we don't lose those guys for the season because we're pushing them too hard. And so you get a chance to get healthier if you're not pushing each guy to his brink, wearing out the brake pads on every dude throughout the season. And so I think there's still a lot of season left. A lot of guys can get hurt, but you're setting yourself up for success in November, December, and January when your guys are getting healthier. So bye came at the right time for them. They're getting some guys back, and now we get to see them play towards the end of the stretch.
I asked this of David Furones yesterday. I will ask you the same question. In your eyes, what does Mike McDaniel have to work on to be better?
Good question. I would say that one thing that I still have a big question with, and it's not necessarily as much beating the good teams on the road, although that is a question, it's how does your offense travel? And what I mean about the offense is more of the schematic elements of it. I've seen the noise and the crowd factor and having the ability to go silent count be very disrupted by going on the road. And they essentially have had to change their motion, their cadences, and they have not been as efficient as a high-octane offense on the road. And so what can he do during those periods as you're leading up for a big road game during the week to get them better prepared, to work on that silent count, to get the timing and the motion elements right? Because your offense can't be a Hyde and Jekyll on the road versus at home. And it's not necessarily only on the road, it's on road in hostile environments. When they played the Chargers earlier this year, there was no issue because that's not a hostile environment. But if you're playing Buffalo.
And by the way, you had as many fans as the Chargers.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's a neutral site game. And so Buffalo, Philly, those are going to be more hostile environments, that you're going to have to play in the playoffs. If you go on the road, like this is why people bring up the road narrative, because although the Dolphins are still in good positioning right now, as far as the AFC East, they have a 1-game lead over the Bills. They're now a game back on the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Jaguars, and they've already lost the Chiefs. And so when you talk about home field advantage, maybe you win the AFC East, which they're on track for, and you get one playoff game. But if you want this team to be anything more than a 1-game and out type deal, whether 1 and out, 1 and done, or whether 1 win and done, you're going to have to go on the road right now, as it looks like, to win a game. Can you go to Kansas City and win a game? Can you go to Baltimore and win a game? These are things that are going to have to happen. The way Cincinnati's playing, maybe they come back and win. Can you go to Cincinnati in that cold weather and win a game? That place can be rocking at night. I've seen it. And so those are the things I want to see.
Last year they did. They won. They won in Baltimore down 21.
They did. That was early in the season. And I would say that climate, the Baltimore wasn't rocking the way I think it would be rocking for a playoff game. But that was probably Tua's, if not his best game, one of the best 2 or 3 games of his career. They came back. They looked amazing. But I would also tell you, just being completely honest,
that's 2 years in a row. He comes back on Baltimore.
Yes, but I will tell you this, and I'm just telling you the facts of this situation. That Baltimore game you were talking about, that's the last win on the road the Dolphins have had against a winning team. That's the last, and that was what, 14 months ago? Yeah. And so that is a great example, but it's literally the only example in the Mike McDaniel era where they've won a road game against a team with a winning record at that time.
Well, maybe don't have a brain fart on 3rd and 1 in Buffalo. Maybe
that's true.
Maybe you keep running the ball against Kansas City last week when you're
these are great points and great context. But what's the saying? If was a fifth, I'd be drunk. You could say
there's no ifs. It's, hey, asshole, start making better decisions. That's what I'm trying to say to Mike.
Right.
And get your head out of your ass and don't put Braylon Sanders in a position against Buffalo that he's not ready. And he doesn't run the right route, and Tua throws a beautiful pass for a touchdown, and he's standing like an idiot in the middle of the field. Don't put Cedric Wilson at the end of a game that he doesn't know how to read a hot read. Put somebody that's more experienced there, because Tua read the hot read, plus he was being pressured, and the receiver has to know we don't have time for a long developing play, dude. You need to catch the ball, move the chains, and get out of bounds, and that's what Tua was thinking of, and you read it wrong. So Mike McDaniel is making a lot of mental errors, and he's a smart guy that outsmarts himself at times. And it's the weirdest thing. And the best thing about this, for me at least, is I gave up on Gase pretty quickly. I gave up on Flo pretty quickly. I never even believed in Philbin from day one. I believe in this guy. He's smart. He'll figure it out. But I need him to figure it out like his quarterback did, because nothing gets me more excited than watching Tua slide and throw the ball away on a consistent basis. The way he carries himself this year, my God, I am so proud of that young man, that he has learned how he has to play the damn game. Well, Mike McDaniel, my brother, I need you to learn how to play the damn game. Keep it simple, stupid. When you're running the hell out of the ball, you don't quit against Green Bay. You don't quit against Buffalo, and you don't quit against the Chiefs. Brother, you got him on the ropes. Keep him on the ropes. Let's go.
I hear you. I think Mike McDaniel has been an excellent coach. I think he's been one of the top 5 coaches since he's been a head coach in the league. I think the thing that, I think a lot of times we can be the money quarterback, and we pick and nitpick different things and say, hey, that was stupid. You could have did that better. I think the thing about Mike that is maybe a blessing and a curse is because he is so forward thinking. He is going to do things that you don't think about, but he's also going to do things that you're like, maybe you should have made a simpler call, right? And I think you take the good with the bad. That's part of the Mike McDaniel experience, right? Ideally, you want the perfect balance. You want him to make all the right calls on 3rd and 1, give it to the running back at the right time. When you're rolling, do this, but also create all the magical plays that score 70 points. The reality is,
but Cam, it's so screwed up, right? So you're the run game coordinator. Okay, great. So why do you keep abandoning the run? Come on, dude. Let's go. I mean, these are the same issues, and that's where you get a little too cute. You don't have to get, brother, at that moment. And, you know, I have Matt Welt Rheaume on every week on Wednesdays. Matt is an enormous KC guy. He's an insider in KC, all that kind of stuff. He has a KC show. And when I talked to him on Wednesday, he goes, the part I didn't understand is that's KC's weakness, stopping the run. Their strength is stopping the pass, actually. And so you were gouging them. Brother, keep it simple. Just keep gouging them. It's just to your favor. And you had all the time. You had the timeouts. There was no reason not to do it strategically. And that's where it's not a thing that we're second guessing or playing, you know, armchair quarterback. It's staring you in the face, bro. You're busting them in the mouth and shoving the ball down their throat. That is that's the reason why Baltimore dominates during the regular season. Because that's an offense that's impossible to prepare for during the regular season. And then in the playoffs, you have the better defenses, so they just shut the run down. But during the year, if they get physical on you, the game's over because they're going to run all day on your ass. Well, Miami, you know, those moments that you can run, Cam, brother, keep doing it, please.
And so I think you're hitting on the money of what we're trying. You asked me what I would like to see. Figuring out that balance of don't neuter yourself, because too often you go to the extreme. If you tell yourself all bye week, I got to run the ball more, then you become a run pass team. And you know how fans roll their eyes about those type teams where it's so predictable of, I think you should run. The defense thinks you're going to run and you're going to run, right? Sometimes there's a time for that, but I think there's also a balance of keeping the defense off guard, throwing when they think you're going to run when they think you're going to throw, but also making the first downs and keeping with things that work. And so finding that balance is something that I think is probably a coach's constant job. That's the one thing that I would probably work on with him, the traveling on the road, but also the balance of figuring out how as a play caller am I managing my run pass balance, especially as you get in these colder months. Like the reality is there's questions out here about how physical, how tough Miami is, whether they're true or not. There are questions. And so defenses are going to say, hey, we're going to try to stop their run in the first quarter, punch their receivers in the mouth, their speed receivers, and see if they respond. And so what I really would love to see, because I know Mike's great about getting an adjustment when he has time to be able to adjust to these things. What was his adjustment to that? If a defense game plan is exactly what the Chiefs came out here and did, and said, we're going to go all out and stop the run. We're not going to be confused about your motion. We're going to put our guys in press coverage and try to press your receivers, get hands on your receivers, knock off your timing, and our front four is going to get home. If that is a defense's game plan, what is your adjustment? What do you do to counterset that? And that's what I'm eager to see.
There you go. Follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe. Catch his work at the NFL Network, except you won't be able to do it this weekend because he's off.
I am on TV for the Insiders in about 45 minutes at 12:15. So I'm actually about to go upstairs and get ready for the Insiders. So you will see me there. You just won't see me Sunday on game coverage.
There you go. So catch him in 45 minutes there doing his thing with the Insiders. Cam, as always, enjoy the fam. Enjoy the weekend. We'll catch up next week, my friend. Thank you.
All right, you too.
Got it. There you go. Cameron Wolfe, baby. And when we talk about KSDT, we're talking about tax, advisory, assurance, accounting. They've been at this. Listen, they've been an accounting firm here in South Florida for over 40 years. They understand anything and everything that has to do with your business. They can help you from payroll to planning to healthcare, you name it. And they can help you with assurance, all kinds of stuff. If you got estate planning, please call the great people at KSDT CPAs, 305-670-3370. They have offices in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties, and we've got a brand new office in North Carolina, and we're hiring in all four. KSDT CPAs.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.